being alive is about growing, is about evolving, is about learning. And in that, we're going to experience happiness. We're going to experience true joy. We're going to experience all of the different human emotions from anger. We're going to have shame. We're going to have all of these things. But as long as we're progressing through all of those different emotions and through all of the experiences that we have, I think that's where we are going to start to tune into feelings of joy and feelings of worth, and just because we're progressing. Welcome back to the Happiness and Progress podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Craig. I'm an Emmy Award-winning journalist, a mom, wife, and you know what I like to say, just a person looking for more joy in the everyday. This podcast is brought to you by the Mail Tribune. You can find more podcasts at mailtribune.com. You guys, it is episode 200 of the podcast. I'm so excited that we're here. I'm so excited that I've been able to share so many incredible people's stories and the things that they've learned about life with you. I am so thankful that you're here and that you've been here, whether it's from the beginning or you've jumped in somewhere along the way. I'm just so appreciative that you come here and listen to the podcast and allow me to do this thing that I really love to do. And hopefully it makes an impact in your life. To celebrate our 200th episode, I recruited one of my very best friends to interview me. Our guest host today is Elizabeth Watts. She is a 3-time Emmy Award winner. She anchored the news in Yuma, Arizona, Las Vegas, and Colorado Springs. We actually met in the early days of our news careers in Las Vegas. She also now works in communications and public relations in Colorado. So Elizabeth, take it away.
Danielle, thanks so much for having me. Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Watts. I'm an Emmy Award-winning journalist, a wife, a stepmom, a daughter, a sister, and, just a person.
I love it so much. It's amazing. I love it.
So Danielle is always asking the questions, obviously. So I thought, why not turn the tables for this special 200th episode and learn a little bit more about Danielle and her podcast. I was thinking, Danielle, we do 20 questions for your 200th episode.
Instead of 200.
Yeah, 200 might be a little too long. So 20 is
200 is a little too much. 20 sounds good. 20.
It'll keep us with the theme and, with a good time frame too. We're going to do like 10 quick, cute, rapid fire ones, and then 10, more serious ones about the podcast.
Okay.
And
I'm ready.
Good?
I'm ready.
Okay. 10 rapid fire. These are going to be real tough.
I'm stressed.
What did you say?
I'm stressed.
You're stressed. I am too.
It's way easier to ask the questions. Okay, I'm ready.
Here we go. Tough. The toughest question ever on your podcast. What's your favorite chocolate or treat?
My favorite chocolate or treat?
Rapid fire.
Oh my gosh. Cookies.
Cookies?
Any cookies.
Okay.
You know what? Oreos special flavor cookies are all my favorites. All of them.
Oh, all of them.
Yeah. And they just had some 4th of July ones that had Poppets inside. And those
Are you
were
serious?
Really good. Those were amazing.
That sounds so amazing. I love how the Oreo aisle gets bigger and bigger, by the way. Okay. 13 years you've been married, which is amazing. What's your favorite memory with your husband?
Oh, you know what? All of them. No, not all of them. 95% of them. 90%.
I'm looking for something specific.
Okay. A significant memory. One of my favorite memories with him. I think there was this time, this is like not super significant, but there was a time where I had moved here from Southern Oregon and he stayed in Las Vegas, and we were apart for about 3 months. And then he moved here to Southern Oregon. And I still remember the moving truck coming around the side corner. And I just felt like home had arrived, and it was such a great feeling, and seeing him pulling up in that U-Haul. And I think that might be my favorite memory, just because it was the reminder of like, this is my grounding source. This is my home.
Oh, I love that. That's great. Okay. Favorite food?
I used to say it was peanut butter, and now my son has a peanut allergy. Like anytime I did the first date circuit, in high school and college, I'd be like, oh yeah, my favorite food is peanut butter. But now it's not. I don't eat peanut butter because of my son's allergy. And I do every once in a while. I just have to wash up really well. It's bread, I think.
Bread?
I think it's bread.
I thought you were going
Is that okay?
I thought you were going to say pear pizza. It's pear, right?
Okay. Also, for anyone in Southern Oregon, it's also simultaneously Common Block's pear pizza, Rogue Roots pizza. Oh, I love that pizza. It's so good. There's pear on it.
It sounds so good.
It's
and looks
so
good in the pictures. Your favorite place to visit?
Wait, can I just add that I send Elizabeth a picture of the Rogue Roots pizza almost weekly?
Yeah. Every Friday. So favorite place to visit besides that pizza place?
Where is it? What is my favorite place to visit? Is it? I think it's Disneyland.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say the coast.
Oh, I love the coast too. I think it's Disneyland though, because we went there right after COVID and it just felt so good.
Yeah.
It felt so nice to just be riding on rides and,
being a carefree kid,
seeing Mickey. It just felt right.
And you and your daughter were wearing matching outfits, which was adorable.
We were, and ears.
Speaking of, you have 3 amazing kids. What have you learned about yourself from having them, or what have they taught you about life?
Oh my gosh. This is a deep one. And we're not doing this rapid fire, are we? So I have an episode about Kabbalah. I don't know if you heard it. It was within the first 100. And it's all about Kabbalah and how the people in your life are meant to help you grow and learn and evolve. And I think that my kids have done that perfectly for me, because it has been so much growing and so much evolution. Like I've had to work so hard on things like patience.
Okay. Favorite book?
We were just talking about.
Besides my Hip Habits workbook.
Oh yeah. That's a top one. Me and my son were just talking about this. What is the best book of all time? And what did we land on? Hold on. That's such a hard question. Because there's so many genres.
Yeah.
Which genre do you want me to go for?
You can do self-help, fiction.
The book that made the biggest difference for me and how I see life is A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. And then if I'm going to talk about fiction, I might say Harry Potter. And if I'm going to talk about adult fiction, I might say the Bridgerton series for adults only. And then if I'm going to talk about like children's books, I might say If You Give a Mouse a Cookie.
That's my favorite too.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I love that one.
It's like the best ever.
Oh, it's so good. I had my first birthday party. My son's first birthday party was that theme. And I made a million cookies. It was really fun.
I feel like that says a lot about us too.
I know it does.
That book, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask a bonus question, your favorite movie, but I was like, maybe TV show.
Well, my favorite TV show is Friends. You knew that.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that. I do love that. I do love that too. I was going to call Friends timeless, but unfortunately it's not super timeless. It's like you watch it, sometimes you're a little uncomfortable. You're like, oh, I don't know about that joke, if that stands up. But my favorite movie, man, I think my favorite movie is either How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or Bride Wars.
I'm going to pick for you How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I love that one.
I know. I love them both. I love Kate Hudson.
Yeah, she's great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You seem to do it all. You stay on top of the latest books, movies, TV shows, your mom, a wife, all these things.
And I'm just a person.
The podcaster. How do you do it all? I've been asking her this question forever, so I'm hoping that she'll give me the secret right now.
I don't think I try to do it all at once. So I think I kind of segment my life into different sections. So I'm like, okay, I know that I'm going to be podcasting in these certain hours on this certain day a month. And then I'll use these hours every day to do editing and Instagram kind of stuff. And then I try to make sure that I block out time where I'm being a focused mom. And, sometimes that goes awry with the text messages and the social media, but I try to make sure I try to not feel it all at once. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like if I have
Extension.
10 deadlines, I don't focus on I have 10 deadlines I have to meet because I don't have 10 I have to meet right now. I have
Mhm.
like the first one I have to meet and I'll work on that. And then as I'm going, so this summer I had a presentation I had to give. And then I also had another one that was like 4 hour. I had a 20-minute one and a 4 hour one, but I'm not even going to really touch the 4 hour one until I finish the 20-minute one.
I was hoping for something easier.
No, that is easy.
Favorite date night. Keep the
Favorite date night?
relationship important despite all the stuff you guys have going on.
I think it is just really important to have date nights. I don't think it really matters what you do. In fact, for the last 2 years, we've just had dinner on our couch while watching some kind of Netflix show. First we'll talk and then we'll put the Netflix show on. And I think that just making sure you carve out that time is so important.
Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have to be extravagant.
It doesn't have to be fancy.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think the most fun dates are the ones where you're just hanging out.
I love that. Speaking of hanging out, you have weekly movie nights with your family. And I think this is so awesome. And I want you to tell people about what you guys do.
Okay.
Because I think it's so fun.
It comes from one of my best friends in college, actually, Jennifer Bourget. And she has a family movie journal. And you can buy the journal and then you can take notes about every single weekly movie that you do. And so we do it. We had done it before she released the book and before her tradition, she spread it around. But I liked so many of the things that she did, like making everyone choose the movie each Friday or Saturday. And yeah, so it's fun. Every Saturday there's a different person in our family that chooses a new movie. And so when it's the young, when it's my little girl, it's a princess movie. When it's one of the boys, it's like the newest release they can think of or find. And when it's me and my husband, it's fun because we pull up the 80s and the 90s movies that we're used to. We've been watching a lot of Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. We watched the original live action Ninja Turtles. So it's really fun to introduce our kids to those ones.
Your husband brought up a sketchy one the other week, though.
Oh, the Labyrinth.
Yeah, that was the kids okay after that.
Yeah,
one?
they loved it. They loved it. They were not traumatized like I was.
Yeah, I was traumatized too. I was like, you're showing them Labyrinth?
It was so sketchy. But I talked them through it. And I'm like, there's going to be this guy. He's going to be really scary. And he comes on screen and they're like, you're scared of this guy? No, I'm not.
Different era.
I'm
different
cool.
Generation. Okay, this is the 10th question of rapid fire. What's your Enneagram number?
Oh my gosh. I have a complicated relationship with the Enneagram.
It's an Enneagram in progress.
It's an Enneagram in progress. I don't know.
Okay.
I want to like it and I want to fit into a number perfectly, but I don't.
Yeah.
And so, there's a
type A.
I'm going to go back to the color test and just be a red. Okay. And just want to be a yellow.
You'll have to link me to that one. I haven't done that one yet. Okay. Podcast questions. And this bears repeating. I know you've talked about it a lot, but what inspired you to start this podcast?
Okay. So yeah, you can go back to listen to the first episode. It was 2017 and I have what I call my wake up year. And within a 3-month period, I miscarried. I fell into this really deep depression. And during that depression, my oldest son was hospitalized when we found out he had severe asthma and he couldn't breathe. And then, my other son was hospitalized. Then my husband's heart stopped in our kitchen, in our living room. And it stopped for 8 seconds while he was connected to all the machinery from the paramedics. And so we literally heard him flatline. And that whole thing was horrifying by itself. And then right after that, my oldest son fell back and I picked him up and he was lying in a puddle of blood. So it was all of this stuff that had happened and just kept bringing me back into the present and reminding me of what was really important in my life. And I was at a point where I was giving up a lot for a whole bunch of external things. And I wasn't really living presently. And I was wanting so much. About a week before my husband's heart stopped, I'm standing in the hallway. We just put our kids down to sleep. And I'm like, I'm not happy. And because I wanted the bigger job and, I wanted to live in New York City and be a reporter and I wanted more money and I wanted a bigger house and all of these things. And I was in this deep depression from the postpartum depression of the baby I didn't have. And when his heart stopped, in those chaotic 911 moments, your head thinks a million things. It's wild how many things you can think. And one of the things that I thought was, oh my gosh, I just told him I wasn't happy. And so I realized I really wanted to work on myself and my well-being and being grateful for what I already had instead of always spending it in this rat race of I need more, I need more, I need more. And so I started meditating, and that totally flipped my whole life around and my perspective and brought me out of that depression. I was also training for a marathon at the time. And so between the physical activity and the meditation, it just totally changed my life. And so I wanted to share that. And so then was birthed Happiness in Progress.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so inspiring. Happiness in progress. Some think that the goal is happiness. That's not really the goal. Explain again your goal with this.
No, I don't think happiness is the goal, is the end goal. I think that the goal of life is actually more of the progress. I think that being alive is about growing, is about evolving, is about learning. And in that, we're going to experience happiness. We're going to experience true joy. We're going to experience all of the different human emotions from anger. We're going to have shame. We're going to have all of these things. But as long as we're progressing through all of those different emotions and through all of the experiences that we have, I think that's where we are going to start to tune into feelings of joy and feelings of worth, and just because we're progressing.
Yeah. It's sort of like that movie Inside Out, where you have to have the other things to have the joy. When you were saying that,
oh my gosh. Yes, it's exactly that. You have to have all of those little characters in your head to even notice that there is joy.
Yeah.
Because without the sadness and being able to tune into that, you really can't even comprehend the joy.
Yeah. And I think you help us manage all of the little characters.
Oh, thank you.
I know every guest is your favorite. You're like, this is my favorite episode. Or you don't say that. What do you say? You're like, I just love this episode. I don't know. You say it every time.
I think I do full on say, this is my new favorite episode every time. Okay. Well, I'll listen to your full question. I haven't heard the full question yet.
Do you have a favorite episode in your first 200 besides this one?
This one, obviously, because we're doing it right now. So there's something about talking to people. It just like lights up my whole being. When I first started reporting, I walked out of one of my first interviews and I felt the same way that I felt after my husband kissed me for the first time when we were in high school. Like, it's like a love that I have. Like, it just like makes me so excited when I interview people. And so I really, truly do always feel like, oh my gosh, this is my new favorite. Oh my goodness, this is my new favorite. This is my new favorite. So yeah, I'm going to stick with the last one that I did is my favorite.
Okay. That's this one. I'm so honored.
Yes. You have a full week in this spot.
You're your favorite guest.
Oh no. Okay. This can't be my favorite.
Okay.
No,
So
you're my favorite guest host
and friend.
Yes.
Just kidding. So this 200th episode, this was delayed by a few months, because you had a horrible concussion late last year after someone rear-ended you. And it was so scary. It was terrifying. I think you're fully recovered now, would you say?
Yeah, I think I'm, if I'm not fully there, I'm just about there.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it takes me a little bit longer to use my brain, and today I was walking and I was inside a locker room at the city swimming pool. And I looked down and I thought I was going to fall. And that's just like this equilibrium issue. And so I think there are actually some delays I'm still dealing with. Sometimes my attention, I still have a little bit of a hard time with my attention. And that's really started with the accident. But for the most part, I think I'm just about there. I just spoke at that event. I spoke for 20 minutes straight. I was able to memorize my key points and what I wanted to share. And so that's huge. That's really what I wanted to be able to accomplish. And you know, what's interesting in all of that, they told me that I had to believe that my brain could heal for it to actually heal. And so I think that's just with life in general. We have to believe that we are going to get better. We have to believe there's hope. We have to believe we can move forward. And so I just, if I'm not quite there, I believe that I will be totally there.
I was going to ask what you learned from that. It sounds like that's something.
Oh my goodness, so many things.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Is you do have to believe it's available for you, whatever that is. If that's healing after an accident, healing after a breakup, healing after losing your job, you have to believe that the possibility of being where you want to be is real.
Yeah.
But I also learned a lot about identity, and I talked already a lot about identity before. As my identity as a reporter, and then I wasn't a reporter, but I was still a podcaster. I'm still interviewing people. I'm still taking part in that part of my life, and I've done a lot of work to not be my identity, where that's where all my worth comes from. But it's pretty hard when you can't even have a conversation, and then it's not even like I can just be something less than a journalist. I can just be a storyteller. When you lose the thing that is about you, like, this is what's about me. I told the doctor that I was like, this is what's about me. And his eyes were watering up, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is not good. But so I think that again, that we cannot put all of our eggs in one identity basket where this is where I get my worth. We have to be able to move and evolve and grow and learn, I think.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. That was a really, really scary time. Was there any feedback that you got early on? I mean, I imagine it's tough starting out a new podcast, but did you get any feedback early on that just kept you going or motivated you to keep going?
Podcasting is such a hard game because you just are like alone and you have to motivate yourself and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like every time I needed it and every time I still need it, I get a text or a DM in my Instagram, or even a card in the mail, or someone that I run into in the store, and they'll just tell me the impact that it's making for them. And what I love about those conversations is there's some kind of shame element that's involved, and they share their shame with me. They're in public, and that's just bringing the walls down so that we can become more whole and realize that we're all in this together. We're all dealing with these various things. They might not be the same thing, but there's so many people on this planet. There are a lot of people dealing with something that is the same.
Yeah. We're all in it together. Is there a lesson that you've learned? I mean, you've heard so much in these last 200 episodes. Is there a lesson that really stuck out to you most when you look back?
Yeah. It's, I think, episode 2 or episode 3, maybe episode 4. It was with Alyssa Parker, and she lost her daughter in Sandy Hook. And I could not understand how she or anyone else who's lost their loved one to someone who murdered them when they were just going about their lives could forgive a shooter like that. And we had that conversation. How could she forgive them? And she talked about when she looked at the person, she could not comprehend everything going on in his head. She could not comprehend the tools that he had and what made him make that decision. So she didn't have to. She had to let that go and let that go to a higher power. And she also learned that in forgiving him, forgiveness is not like a one and done thing. Forgiveness is I'm not feeling like I'm forgiving him today. I'm so angry today. And then she can just kind of ebb and flow and come back to forgiveness, and then sometimes get a little farther away from it. I love that idea of forgiveness being a practice, like, and learning that helped me, I think, a little bit with my own forgiveness, although I'm not nearly where she is, but also I think it helped me notice how everything in life is a practice.
I love that. And forgiveness.
It's not going to be perfect every time. You just keep going back and trying.
That's huge. I love that. How have you changed since starting this podcast?
I feel like my personality is very reactive. And so I hear something, I react. But I think that in doing this podcast and hearing from so many people and hearing so many things, I've been able to slow down that reaction. So it's more of a thoughtful response. So I'm more often acting how I want to act, how I prefer to act, how I prefer to respond instead of just knee-jerk reacting to a situation.
That's good.
So it's made me a little slower. And I think that's good. Slow in a good way. Slow to anger, slow to yell, that
A lot
kind
of
of
us
thing.
listeners are like, maybe I need to start a podcast. Like, wait, you're talking about me. Okay. You're a small business owner. This is tough. Like you said, you're the only person doing all this. What keeps you going?
I think it's that kind of feedback that we were talking about. I
Yeah.
think I think sometimes I can doubt whether it matters or, whether what I'm doing is important or if people are really listening when they download and, is there a person on the other side of the download who even cares? So I think those kind of thoughts are totally normal. And sometimes I feel those, but then I just totally get grounded when I hear like, hey, my wife started listening to your podcast and now she leaves the bed. Like now she's not stuck in depression. Or when I do a suicide episode and we hear from several people who are like, I decided to reach out and get help and realize that suicide's not an option. Like that, I think that's the whole point. I think to make an impact in people's lives. And whether that is the people who are dealing with depression or having suicidal ideation, or if it's the people who are like just stuck and so unhappy every day and can't figure out why, I think I just want to reach out and hug everyone. And this is my hug. So.
Oh, I love that. That's going to make me cry. Okay. Number 9, what are your goals for this podcast? You have 200 episodes under your belt now.
I think my goals for the podcast are to keep going, get some good guests, have another live event, maybe a couple live events, different kind of style live events. And I had started at the beginning of 2020 doing video podcasts where my guests were in studio. I'd love to move back into that model as well. So
yes,
we'll see. Maybe more like a daytime television kind of show. Wouldn't that be fun? So we'll see.
Yes.
So here we are.
That's exciting. Look forward to all of that. Okay. Final question. What is your number one tip to finding more joy in the good, the bad, and the in-between? I love to ask this to all my guests.
You love to ask this to all your guests. Okay. I'm glad that you tipped me off that you were going to ask me this and then told me to say, listen to the Happiness in Progress podcast.
It's like, you have to answer with that.
No, you know what it really is? I think really it is taking the 5 minutes to have nothing going on in your life. I think it's meditation. When you stop and you meditate, it changes the way you see the world. It allows you to have the thoughts and release the thoughts. And that has been life-changing for me. So I think I'm going to stick with meditation for this time, but there's so many other things. There's mindset and there's gratitude and there's taking a 10-minute walk every night. There's so many things that can impact our lives, but I think that what we really need right now collectively is a moment where we're not connected.
Just stop.
Yeah.
You can do that when you're walking, or like in episode 199, I started doing it when you're putting your lotion on.
Yeah. Don't do anything else. Don't listen to all the stuff. Don't think about your to-do list, just
it can be
play the pianos under your eyes like Angela told us to. I've been doing that and it feels so good.
I love it. Well, Danielle, thanks for playing along with the 20 questions.
Oh my goodness.
They're not exactly rapid fire. We'll have to check the time. But I do want to say a huge congratulations to you on 200 episodes. I'm just so proud of you. I think it's so exciting. And I want everyone to know Danielle really does have a heart of gold. She is who you hear. She's who you see. I'm going to cry. She's the person you see on Facebook and Instagram and on the podcast. She's really a wonderful, wonderful person. What you see is who she is. And I'm just so proud of you. And I think you are making a huge difference for a lot of people. And I want you to keep shining your light, girl.
Oh, Elizabeth, thank you. You're going to make me cry. I just really, really appreciate that and appreciate your friendship and for you doing this too.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Here's to 200 more.
Of course, I absolutely adore Elizabeth. You can follow her on Instagram. I put her information in show notes. And I also asked for you guys to share some of your favorite episodes. I just wanted to share those comments. We had a few, so here they are.
Hi. What I've learned from Happiness in Progress is that I am not what gravity puts my number at, because I am enough. And you have helped so many of us. You're inspiring, Danielle. Thanks. This is Sherry.
Hi, my name is Sarita Velasquez, and so far I have learned that this life is rough, and being a mom is tough, day in and day out, and there's lots of things that can happen, but you just gotta stick with your goals and stick to what you know, and be kind to everybody, because you never know what they're going through too, and that truly is quite amazing once you just learn to let things go, and that you're not the only ones with struggles.
I guess I should just start by saying it's really hard to share just one lesson I've gotten from this podcast, because over and over again I'm so surprised at how each episode is relevant to my life. So many times when there's a new episode, I'll be super excited to listen, because it's an area that I really need some help with. But other times I'll think, oh, I'm good in that area, and I'll be listening, and I'm so surprised at all that I get from it. The money mindset you need for the holidays was one of those episodes. So many financial suggestions I didn't even know I needed. I even listened to it a second time.
This is Bonnie. My favorite podcasts, I haven't listened to all of them, but probably I would say more than half. And my favorite podcast was when you were talking about you had OCD and how you handled the situation. And I do not have OCD, but I took some of your advice, and like other things that are happening in my life, and I have no control over, so I just take a deep breath. And just continue on, and that does help me. I love all your podcasts, but that's what stuck with me the most, is how you handled your OCD podcast.
Hi, my name is Katie, and I have listened to every episode of Happiness in Progress. Happiness in Progress was my gateway podcast, the first one I ever listened to, and I can honestly say I've enjoyed every episode. So one piece of advice that I've learned, and from whom, by listening to the Happiness in Progress, I would say comes from episode 77. Whenever I'm going through something really hard, whether it's physically or mentally, I think of Courtney Pollock, the ultra-distance open water swimmer, swimming for over 30 hours and having crazy hallucinations. And I realize, yeah, what I'm going through really isn't that hard. So that podcast really kind of helped shape my perspective about mental toughness and perseverance.
Loved that episode. Such strength in that episode. I will link that one in show notes too. I want to thank all of you for being here and for listening to the Happiness in Progress podcast.